Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Movesets video. Today's video is going to be all about Weezing, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, ability, and stats. So to start things off, Weezing is a Poison-type Pokemon introduced in Generation 1 that is only in possession of one ability, but it's a great ability in that it is Levitate, which makes it so that this Pokemon is immune to Ground-type attacks, a type of attack that Poison types are typically weak against, which gives it really only one weakness to Psychic type moves, which is very cool. But as for its stats, this Pokemon has a base 65 HP, 90 physical attack, 120 defense, 85 special attack, 70 special defense, and 60 speed. Meaning this Pokemon is a pretty mixed bag of stats really when it comes down to it. Primarily, Weezing is known for being an excellent physically defensive Pokemon, as you can see right here with that 120 base defense. And also, even though its physical attack is higher, Weezing unfortunately doesn't really learn a lot of physical moves, especially no physical poison moves as well. So you're always going to be going with the special attack even though it is the lower stat, because being a Gen 1 Pokemon, Weezing learns so many random moves that make absolutely no sense but give it some really great type coverage. Additionally though, you do want to keep in mind that Weezing is going to be on the slower end of Pokemon with its base 60 speed, so do keep that in mind when you use it. But with that, let's take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, I'm going to be showing off what is pretty much a standard defensive Weezing set. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a bold nature to increase its physical defense but lower its physical attack, go with the Levitate ability and an EV spread of 252 HP, 208 defense, and 48 speed EVs. Now, a lot of people probably wouldn't really see why right off the bat I would put this many EVs into its speed stat, but because this Pokemon with 48 speed EVs allows you to outspeed base 65 speed Pokemon, of which there are a ton of in this game. Like, there's way too many base 65 speed Pokemon. This speed investment, I think, is even more important than just the little bit of added bulk that you would get by putting those into your defense stat. So that's my personal preference, but you can feel free to do what you'd like there. This is just how I would run it. But for the moves, the first one that we're going to go with is going to be Will-O-Wisp as a way to burn physical attackers, specifically to cripple their physical attack, and also just in general to allow you to get some residual damage, as Will-O-Wisp burn will be taking away your opponent's health a little bit at the end of every turn. But along with this, we're going to run a stab poison move in the form of either Sludge Bomb, which is going to allow you a powerful poison type move that will have a 30% chance to poison opponents, or Clear Smog, which is significantly less powerful but removes stat boosts that your opponent may have acquired, which is very useful for this Pokemon to possibly prevent a sweep on your opponent's end. As for your next attack though, Flamethrower is a great option to give you some type coverage specifically against steel types that are going to be obviously not immune, or going to be immune to your poison type moves, or you could potentially run Toxic Spikes as well on this set to allow Weezing to have the opportunity to set up entry hazards on your opponent's side of the field that will poison attackers every time they switch in. And finally, for the last move on the set, we're going to be making use of Pain Split to give Weezing some more survivability, as it will be averaging its HP stat with its opponents, hopefully giving you HP in the process and giving you some much needed longevity in the battlefield to potentially wall physical attackers for a greater period of time, which is also augmented by the fact that we're running Black Sludge to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. Up next, I have the first of two weather support sets to make use of with Weezing, and I have actually used both of these in the past to great effect, and these are only even augmented in their ability now as a result of there being more and better things to take advantage of weather as the new generations release new Pokemon. So to start this one off, we're again going to go with a bold nature, the ability Levitate, and the same EV spread as before, but for the moves, the first one that we're going to go with this time is going to be Sunny Day or Rain Dance, to either set up Sun or Rain for 5 turns to support your team, or potentially 8 turns if you go with the Heat Rock or Damp Rock to obviously extend the turns of those weather-inducing moves. Otherwise, you could just go with Black Sludge like before, just to give you some more survivability, potentially allowing you to set up Rain or Sun more often because you're going to be alive longer. But I think the Heat Rock or Damp Rock, in my opinion, has been more effective in my usage of these sets in the past. But again, we're going to go with Sludge Bomb or Clear Smog to be our main poison-type move for the same reasons as mentioned before. And then for your second attack, we're either going to go with Flamethrower, like before, to be a powerful, now sun-boosted move if you're going with the Sunny Day set, or Thunder to be used in combination with the Rain Dance set to allow you a powerful, 100% accurate electric-type attack that also has a 30% chance to paralyze, which is something that Weezing typically is not able to do otherwise unless you get really lucky with like a 10% paralysis from Thunderbolt or something like that. But for the last move in the set, we're again going to go with Pain Split to give us Pokemon some increased survivability throughout the battle, which is very effective for allowing you to switch in multiple times to set up either the sun or rain. And because Weezing is such an amazing defensive wall, you are able to actually switch into this Pokemon very effectively and very frequently to set up these weather effects on the battlefield. But as mentioned before, I have 2 weather support movesets, so going over this one right now, we're going to start by giving it a timid nature to boost its speed but lower its physical attack, go with the levitate ability again, and then an EV spread this time of 252 HP EVs to max that out for defense, and then 252 speed EVs to max out your speed stat to make you considerably faster, actually with enough speed to outspeed base 100 Pokemon that don't have any EV investment at all, which again is another good benchmark to be faster than for a set like this, and I'll explain why it's effective in just a second, specifically though with the first move that we're going with, which is Taunt, which makes it so that if we do go for this move, our opponents are going to be unable to use any non-attacking moves. And this set, as opposed to the other one, is more of like a suicide lead kind of thing. So if you're able to taunt an opponent trying to set up hazards, they can't set up the hazards, and now you are just greatly supporting your rain or sun sweepers on your team because they're not going to have to worry about switching into damage every single time. Additionally though, like before, you could also go with Clear Smog to prevent a setup on your opponent's side of things, which is also very useful and even better on this set because we're so much more faster, so that allows us to then Clear Smog and get rid of the stat boosts on even more Pokemon because we're going to basically be outspeeding them. But for your next move, we're going to run Toxic Spikes as a way to set up those hazards on your opponent's side of the field, poisoning opponents every time they switch in, which is going to slowly drain away their HP, and then again support your rain or sun sweepers because they're not going to have to work as hard to take them out because they're going to get that extra damage at the end of every turn. As for your third option though, obviously Sunny Day or Rain Dance to set up the sun or rain for 5 to 8 turns if you go with the Heat Rock or Damp Rock item. And then for the last move on the set, going either with Destiny Bond as a way to take out your opponent when they try to take you out, which is a very good move to use when you're running max speed on Weezing like this, or going with Memento as a way to kill yourself but lower your opponent's physical and special attack by 2 stages, thus making it very easy for after you've set up your Rain or Sun to bring something in and go for a really great boosting move like Growth in Sun or Nasty Plot or Swords Dance, things like that that your teammates can take advantage of, because now they're not going to have to worry about your opponent overpowering them since their stats are significantly reduced. But that is kind of another option of running with a weather support set that Weezing can do extremely well, and I honestly think this is my favorite set of the video just because of how it works by maxing its speed and helping to support weather teams. Now, in addition to Weezing being a great support Pokemon for weather teams, it can also take advantage of weather in itself to increase its offensive capabilities. For this set, we're going to start by giving it a modest nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack, or a timid nature to increase its speed but lower its physical attack, going with a levitate ability and then an EV spread of 252 special attack, 4 special defense, and 252 speed EVs to max out its special attack and speed. For the moves, again though, the first one that we're going to go with is going to be either Sunny Day to set up Sun on the battlefield for 5 turns, which can also be used in combination with Furium Z to boost your speed by 1 stage to offset your low speed stat, or going with Rain Dance to set up Rain on the battlefield for 5 turns to be used in combination with Waterium Z to then also increase your speed stat to offset your low speed, allowing Weezing to have greater sweeping capabilities. But with this, again, we're going to go with Sludge Bomb to be our main poison type stab attack, and then if you go with the Sunny Day variant, going with Fire Blast to give you a very powerful fire type move that's boosted by the sun, or if you're going with Rain Dance, going with Thunder to give you a very powerful electric type move that also has that 30% chance to paralyze opponents. Along with this though, for the last move slot, we're going to be going with Destiny Bond, again like on the previous set, but because we're boosting our speed stat further through the use of the Z move with our weather inducing move, Destiny Bond is even better than before because there's even more things that we're going to outspeed and be able to take down while Weezing also goes down. And this is an amazing way to make use of this Pokemon after it has set up the Sun or the Rain and possibly taken out something on your opponent's side of the field. If you're running low on health, go for Destiny Bond, and then this will allow you to take out something else on your opponent's team, which is a really great way to make use of kind of a sweeping Weezing set. On the other hand, for a more direct, especially offensive set, you can also run a Specs Weezing, which is actually a really great set for this Pokemon. Not typically seen, but it has such great type coverage that it's actually able to use this very effectively. So for this one, again, we're going to go with Modest to increase your special attack but lower your physical attack, or Timid to increase your speed but lower your physical attack, the Levitate ability, and the same EV spread as before to max our special attack and our speed stats. But for the moves, this time we're going to be going with Sludge Bomb, again to be your main stab poison move, Fire Blast to be your main fire type attack, which is going to be very powerful with the Choice Specs item, which is your item for the set, Dark Pulse to be an amazing coverage option for any psychic types that want to switch in on Weezing, which is really fantastic because this Pokemon is only weak to psychic type moves, which is another way to, catch up an opponent on the switch in or something like that, or bring in Weezing on a slower psychic type that you could take out if they're at a lower range of health. And then for the last move slot, either going with Thunderbolt to give you a really great electric type coverage move that, this time we have to go with because we're not taking advantage of rain to use Thunder, or going with Hidden Power Ground to give you additional type coverage against steel types that this Pokemon is really unable to do much to with Fire Blast, basically being Heatran if you are going to use this Pokemon in OU. But overall, this set just has a ton of power right out of the gate. I have used this set a lot as well, and I'm always impressed by how much damage Specs Weezing is able to output, because you typically don't expect that on a Pokemon that is normally seen as a physically defensive wall. And finally, for the last moveset of this video, I'm going to be showing off what is a very effective Toxic Stalling Weezing set. So we're going to start this one off by giving you a Calm Nature this time to increase its special defense but lower its physical attack, going with a Levitate ability, and then an EV spread this time of 252 HP, 252 special defense, and 4 speed EVs to max out this Pokemon's special defense stat, which, when used in combination with its already great physical defense, will make Weezing very bulky, which is then going to be increased by a maximum of 3 stages in both stat through the use of the Stockpile move, which is our first move on the set. As mentioned before, increases our physical defense and special defense by 1 stage for a maximum of 3 times, which is then going to make Weezing almost impossible to kill, barring some really powerful, super effective moves. But along with this, because we're going to have such great increased bulk, we're going to be making use of Toxic as a way to poison our opponents and make it so that they take increased damage at the end of every turn until they either switch out or faint. And along with this, because again, we're going to want to keep our health up while this is happening, because we still are going to be taking hits even though we do have increased bulk, we're either going to make use of Rest to recover all of our HP by putting us to sleep for 2 turns, or going with Pain Split. But I think Rest is still more effective on this set just because, as the whole purpose of the set is to slowly lower your opponent's health. Pain Split isn't going to be nearly as effective, but it is a potential option if your opponent does switch out. You can Pain Split and leech off the switch-in's health and then proceed to Toxic Stall that. So that is an option, and obviously this is going to be increased by the use of the Black Sludge item, which will be increasing our HP at the end of every turn. But finally, for the last move in the set, we have quite a few options. The first 2 being options to use against Steel types and Poison types, because those are the only types of Pokemon that are going to be unaffected by your Toxic Stalling. So Flamethrower is there to hit Steel types, whereas Hidden Power Ground is there to hit Steel types and Poison types, but is just a little bit weaker. As for the next option, though, we could also potentially go with Infestation, which is going to trap our opponents and make it so that they are unable to switch out, which is then going to guarantee you can pretty much Toxic Stall something. So that's really great in and of itself. It also will do a little bit of damage at the end of every turn too, which will increase your ability to take things out even quicker, which is also really great. But for the last move, we could also go with Clear Smog, even though it's another poison type attack, meaning that we won't be able to really do too much to poison and steel types, but it is a really great way of preventing your opponent from setting up while you attempt to Toxic Stall them if they're able to just ignore the Toxic Stalling. So that's really great to keep in mind as well. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed these movesets on Weezing, a Pokemon that is incredibly versatile, as you can see right here. And as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.